Yeah, we started stuff on time. That's why I got my ramp popcorn here ready to go. Let's go.
Anyway, we are live. We are live.
We are?
Welcome to episode 3 of the weekly. Apologize for the late start. I know Lou Rod's already complaining then, but thank you guys for joining. I had to switch chats because once it passed, I think after 10 minutes, Google wouldn't let me start that other Hangouts for whatever reason. So that's Google. So that's a great new one. Anyway, we have a guest with us today. We have Ricky from GSM Arena, or Enrique.
Ricky. Yes, it's me. What's going on? How's it
going, man? Thanks for joining.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And of course, Mr. Warren Bowman.
All right, thumbs up. Let's do this.
Cool. All right, so Ricky, you supplied us with the uselessness of the week. So if you want to go ahead and kick it off, but before that, can you tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do, your channel, all that stuff?
Well, I work with gsmarena.com. I write written reviews, I write news, and I time for them. So video reviews. I'll provide voiceover work for them as well. So a lot of most of the content that I do is written. So
okay,
this is the face to that by name.
Cool. For some reason, it looks like your audio is out of sync. Not you, it's Hangouts. But all right, so we have a useless list provided by Ricky. Could you tell us exactly what it is, and we can chime in
as soon as I find it, because I can't head it up.
Let's see.
All right, so TELUS had sent an email to a certain number of its customers saying that, I have it here actually, please be advised we have received notice today that Google will be ceasing production of their Google Pixel line and we will not be receiving further inventory of this phone. Therefore, we will not be able to fulfill your order for the selected product. Phones are still backed up. The Pixel XL, or at least the Pixel XL I know is still backed up even with Verizon until like the end of March.
Yeah.
So this was, picked up by, one or two blogs and it blew up, and then, Android police is where I'm citing it now is like bullshit alert. It's not what happened. Someone messed up at TELUS, and it scared a lot of people into thinking, why would Google stop their production run so early? It's just like doesn't make any sense, didn't add up, and it was not true. So
true.
An intern probably got fired.
9 to 5 Google got a statement from Google themselves who said they're excited by the demand for the Pixel in Canada. TELUS is currently out of stock, but we're working with our partners to restock it, meaning Google didn't cease production. This is a very big foobar, by whoever sent this out.
It's Canada.
Oh,
half of it's ice.
Oh, wow. Canadian folks, you heard that. So Kyle Ruggles is probably complaining about that now. But it's not too bad. It's just one of those things where somebody made a very bad mistake that scared some customers in general. So I'll leave it at that for now. Anything else?
I got plenty of uselessness.
Oh, you got
where do I begin?
All right, go ahead and start.
Let's start off with, that one they're not going to do so much. This one's a little bit better. Okay, Comcast, everyone's favorite company.
Yeah.
Back in the news again.
What did they do?
So there is a possibility that, Comcast is developing an app that will allow you to use their Roku, to get your TV service through Roku.
It's supposed to be Roku, Samsung, a few other people. Yeah.
But they're going to be charging a fee for you to access it.
Is it a flat fee or
$7.45 for each TV using the Roku app?
So basically, they're charging you as a cable box.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what to even say to that. I really don't.
And that's on top of obviously the cable package. That's just to have a supplementary.
I could understand if it was more than
one fee.
If it was more than 2 devices, they charged you beyond that. If they charged you, let's say most people have a TV or one type of set streaming device in their computer that they might watch content on. I can understand if you wanted a third device that they would charge you a fee to access a third device, maybe do a style similar to how Netflix does theirs. But to actually, charge, I guess, essentially barely $2 less than what they charge for you to have the box makes absolutely no sense. I mean, it's just, as soon as people see, oh, I can use my Comcast. Oh, I got to pay you to do this. PO'd again. It's like they never learn.
Makes no sense. I mean, look, to me, it's this. If you want to make a charge, I would do a flat fee to say, hey, you can now extend this over to your mobile devices, right? Whether it's a Roku or it's a mobile device, and then done. If you give users a one-time fee, they will always accept a one-time fee. If you do monthly, what's the point? I mean, might as well rent a box, right? Why is it that you provide the box? Yeah, why you are providing the box with the Roku, or if it's a Samsung TV, then you have to pay $7.99 for it again.
That's what it sounds like. This story actually comes from CNET. So that's what they kind of got they heard this from. Let me see. I just had it. The Comcast spokesperson did confirm this. So,
could you send the link so I can just put it out so people can check it out?
Yeah. No, doesn't work.
Yeah, the Q&A box doesn't work anymore. So it's a live chat on the YouTube channel. Google has changed a lot of things since the last time.
Probably been on here. We're hanging on to this thing by a thread. I bring popcorn just to fill in the time and when it fails.
Yeah, definitely. So what else did you have, Warren? I know you said there were a couple other uses.
Another one. I didn't really fully into this one, but the FCC, I guess, dropped its inquiries on the 4 companies about their free data charges, or what they're basically on their free data programs. Like, how you can certain music services are free on certain carriers versus some others that aren't.
Yeah.
They were going to investigate that, but he dropped the case. So
on all 4 carriers, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, AT&T and Verizon just got a free pass to buy the internet. Basically, not net neutrality.
Yeah, I mean that was bound to happen. To happen. All right, let's move on to some topics for the week. If you guys check in the description, you'll find that there's some new images on the LG G6, courtesy of Ricky. No, Ricky didn't post this, but this is off GSM Arena anyway. So I'll just say Ricky posted this photos for us.
Close enough.
And I'm just going to share that for you guys so you guys can take a look. So these are the images of the LG G6. Dual camera on the back, the fingerprint sensor and power button in its location, which is better than what we've seen from that Samsung mock-up. I hope not. Volume work on the left-hand side. It's got a brushed finish, but it looks glass in some other photos. So
it looks like the damn G5 in the back. It looks just like the G5. I don't know why you want to make things look like the G5.
You've got your camera there. You can see the screen body ratio.
That looks just like one of the Samsung A series phones.
Yeah, it kind of does. Now the bottom of the device.
Deadass does.
On the bottom of the device, you do have USB Type-C, speaker grill, mic, and then on the top is the headphone jack.
There you go.
So that's still there.
Look at the antenna bands. Jesus Christ.
Bam. It's got bands everywhere. 1, 2,
bam. Like
3.
It just.
And then 4, 5. Yeah, just all over the place.
Somebody pull up the Galaxy. What was that phone that AT&T had? The small AT&T phone.
Was it the A7? No.
It was before they went to metal and glass. It was that one phone that they brought out.
Galaxy. Let's check GSM Arena, man. Let's do that.
Let's check GSM Arena. I go for all my
Samsung. Okay, yeah. Scroll through.
That's where I go for my specs too.
All right, so we're scrolling through S7, A5.
A5. I would think it was. No. Did AT&T get the A5? I don't think it was the A5. Was it different? It had the same backing like the Note did. Kind of.
Yes.
The A5.
I don't think it was called the A5 though. The A5 came out later that year, but that's only in the European market.
2016. Sorry, I apologize.
That's in European markets though. That came out last year. I think we have hands on of that thing.
Yeah.
What is this?
I used to sell it. I used to sell it at the Samsung booth. I used to work at it, Best Buy. I don't even remember what it was called.
Oh man, what was it called? It was a nice phone too. It was actually really nice for its like.
Is it the wasn't it A3?
People, help us in the chat.
A7 maybe?
Yeah, help us out. I can't remember what it was called.
You know what? If I go to my channel, I can find it because I remember reviewing it because I remember the tagline I gave it. Signs of the future.
Samsung A. Let's see if I can find it.
Galaxy Alpha.
Alpha.
That's what it was called. The Galaxy Alpha. Yes. That was the Galaxy Alpha.
Let's see. Let's look for images of the Galaxy Alpha.
Yeah.
Some of the bands look very similar to where they're laying it out, but they're making it all glass. So it's kind of like a mix of what the S6 ended up looking like and what how Samsung used to do all their bands all around their phones.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, true. Like it was like a Note 4 transitioning to like this S6 time. Like that's when it came out.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think about the phone, Ricky?
There it is on GSM Marina.
The V20 here. I like that. Well, first of all, there might be a shiny black and a brushed metal back because that would give like more choice to like for a finish. If you don't want like all glass, it could be all metal. But we don't know if there's going to be that shiny black finish on it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't know about the curved. And we've seen curved corners on smartphones before, but video.
Technically, LG started
it. I mean, in my opinion, make videos look weird because it'll cut the corners off. But that's just my opinion on the little corners. But it's just a part of the design is trying to go for something curvier, I guess. I mean, it looks nice.
I think in the end of the day,
go ahead.
I think at the end of the day, what we're all wondering is it's not necessarily the phone hardware. It's like, what is the software and experience going to be like? Is this going to be just like every single other LG phone, which we've been complaining about their software since the Optimus G days, like way back. Like I can remember complaining about this at a CTIA. Me and Thundery went to in Orlando. Like they need to change their software, and that's been their biggest issue, and they're still their biggest issue now. So I think that will determine if people care so much about it, because it looks like they're just kind of putting on a regular phone, nothing exciting, just trying to put something in the market that they feel will compete. But HTC also did that route once before too. It didn't necessarily work out well for them when they decided to throw out the A9 there. And it was kind of like, well, we can't do anything, crazy anymore. We'll just put something basic out. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why everyone's sort of this G6, okay. I haven't been so stoked about the last two phones, and they seem to just not want to really highlight the V series of phones. So,
well, I think it to me boils down also to marketing. What will they do to market that phone if they would do anything? Because they have a leg up here. They have Samsung is not showing the S8 until end of March.
So that means no one's buying a phone until March.
But I mean, this is time for you to try and at least wow people. To say, here's something. We know they're not going to do an early release, even though they're going to go with the 821 processor in there. It's not like they're going to release this 2 weeks after to combat it. And but this is their position to actually try and change their market presence. But how much will LG do? Will they do that? I don't think so. And with what we've seen the device, even though it's a larger screen ratio. From the images, it doesn't look as appealing as, say, even the Mi Mix. When we
just say what you want to say. Useless. You want to just say hashtag useless.
Okay.
This is what LG should have released last year, actually.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
Instead of going for the LG Friends.
Where are your friends?
The Friends. lock and load, lock and reload your friends. I don't. The idea is there. Just the execution was
poor. Yeah, definitely.
But we're not talking about the G5 anyway at this time. But it just looks to me like the G6 is playing catch up with Samsung and Apple, really, because they're the last ones that have, or the last major really manufacturer that has switched to an integrated battery over a removable one. LG's held on to that for a while, and they think that, and now they believe that holding on to that hasn't really paid off. So they hope that he's going to help them with the G6. But like you were mentioning earlier, is not there, then that and the marketing is going to really determine how this phone's going to perform.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah. But what's striking, I don't have this on the list of topics, but I just wanted to bring this up. I'll add this later on. Is so sales numbers came up for last quarter, and Apple beat out Samsung by 500,000 units. Apple sold 78 million units of the iPhones, all the iPhones, which include. So a lot of people said it was boosted by the iPhone 7. The numbers don't indicate that specifically out there, but we'll just say a combination of iPhone 7, iPhone 6, and of course SE is included. And then Samsung sold 77.5 million units, which is really impressive considering they lost out on sales from the Galaxy Notes. They had to
two phones all year to sell.
Yeah, they recalled
the Note 7.
The Note 7, so they lost at least 2.4 million units on a bare minimum. That's what they sold initially. And they did well. Now, the next largest in terms of market share is Huawei and Oppo. And then the chat I saw had everybody else. So, but it's for Q4 sales and also worldwide. Worldwide, in terms of 2016, Samsung is still market leader compared to Apple, and Huawei and Oppo are the two next carriers. But what's interesting is that everybody else was an amalgamation of the people who have always been strong leaders in the past. LG, number one, is one of them, which is everybody else. The Motorola's of the world have joined that. They've joined the crew there. And to me, it just shows where that tilt has changed, where those not even market leaders, but those who are perceived as high-end market leaders in the space don't really have that footing at all. So I don't know what you guys think about those numbers, just in terms of how it plays in the outlook for people like LG and Motorola as MWC rolls through.
I think the tide's been changing for a while since what I was mentioning before. Like companies like Huawei and Blue and some of these other smaller places are eating up some space there. They're getting into the market and they're challenging. Because LG and HTC and Motorola have been at this for a very, very long time to try and get some of that share away from Samsung. Not so much Apple. They can't really nail Apple. But they can try to get at Samsung, and Samsung has done nothing but improve more and more and more and more. And these numbers are even more telling since they had a phone blow up on them with probably the worst PR move, and no one of these companies could respond to it and get anyone to buy their phones. People just either kept their Note 7s, probably bought a Note 5, may have just gotten themselves a used Note 4, or got themselves like an S6 Edge or an S7 Edge or whichever phone, or S6 Plus if they wanted something larger. There was plenty of other devices out there. So they probably got one of the other 4 or 5 Samsung phones that are out there to hold them over until the next Samsung comes out. That's telling me that these companies, they're ineffective. What they have done has been ineffective. They put out some compelling devices now and then, but for the most part, it's been an ineffective fight against Samsung and Apple. You do have a company now. I think now it's time to see companies like Huawei, who I think probably was more effective with Google's Nexus 6P than probably LG has sold in phones in a long time. You have Huawei, while they're selling directly, they don't have a carrier deal, but they're doing pretty well enough that their noise is being made. The numbers aren't shown yet, but they haven't hit that device that's going to make them show those numbers yet. But they're on the right trend. Their trend is very similar to Samsung when they first started out. They had a few phones out there, things were going, and then Samsung kind of really launched itself once the S4 sort of came out. That was like the big phone that everybody eventually got, and where Samsung really started to take some serious market share and started becoming a big player. And it seems like Huawei is going to kind of follow similar trends once they kind of get there, and probably a little difference is the market, especially in cell phones, is so much different now than they were back then. And then you have on the other end where you have companies like also Huawei uses the Honor brand for this, and then you have companies like Blue, ZTE, who are hitting this high-end, mid-range, unlocked market on the low-end side of things, and they're gobbling up space as well too. So it's just it's a position where I think the LGs, the Motorola's, and the HTCs have got to decide which end they want to attack. They're trying to attack both and pretty much failing at it.
Any thoughts, Ricky?
I mean, I'm sorry, I was distracted doing something. I was distracted logging into something else. You'll have to remind me what we were talking about.
Oh boy!
Forgive me. You're talking about Samsung. I'm sorry. So how's Samsung?
No, we're talking about
okay.
Yeah,
so,
numbers. Yeah.
Forgive me once again. So I feel like yes, Samsung. There's a lot of people loyal to the Samsung brand, and just the thought of them leaving the brand, like I recommended, for example, a Pixel to a Galaxy Note user, and he hated it, and he's like, I don't like this thing because I can't do things. I can't on my Samsung Galaxy. So I was like, just return it. Use your Note 3 until the S8 comes out. Don't bother me. But so like that's the thing, is that Samsung has created this image for its software that keeps its customers around. Mm-hmm. So when they got the Note 7 and they had to return it, then they had to use another Samsung device or another Samsung phone until then to hold them over. Also, Samsung has this variety of devices that contribute to that share.
Yeah.
So Huawei, I feel like Huawei's strategy to the US is similar to that, is make a bunch of devices. For example, now they have the 2 Honor devices in the US, the 8 and the 6X and the 5 that launched last year. And the first device to come in is now the Mate 9. So the Mate 9 may not do as well as they hope to, but it's going to start getting them, getting their feet, ground their feet into the sand, for a very bad analogy that I just used. So, Apple is Apple, so that's something else.
I think it's an interesting point you brought up, Pixel. I didn't even bring that up. That's another player that's now in the game, with Google taking their phone seriously, moving the Pixel into a serious consumer brand and pushing people into, they made an iPhone for Android users. That's just what they did, but it's made a lot of people happy if they wanted an iPhone alternative. And Samsung wasn't necessarily something they wanted. Maybe the Samsung just didn't quite get them, but the Pixel did. And I think the Pixel's best advantage, that's an unlocked phone. That's the easiest thing to say to people. Just go buy it, unlock it, and use whoever the hell you want to use it on. It's such a great pitch that I would love to see. I hope to see Samsung kind of hit that space as well too. Not only have the carrier deals, but have the ability just to grab it, unlocked for them at a good price.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think they should. One of the things Samsung should look at is financing. And, we've talked about it before, but HTC does financing through PayPal right now, which is a good avenue for Samsung.
HTC, you said?
Yeah. If you want to buy a HTC device.
It's Synchrology Bank. That's who they use.
Yeah, no, they also actually have PayPal on there, because PayPal does its financing too. So you can just use PayPal directly, which a lot of people do, and that also helps with HTC's international customers as well. So for Samsung, I think that's something they should do and push that direct-to-consumer approach, and say you can also pick it up that way if you choose. All right, let's move on to another topic. This one has to do with something Warren talked about a bit on his Facebook page, but we can bring it up here. But the Delete Uber campaign hit last week, and that affected Uber. Uber lost 200,000 users, and that the whole idea of the campaign was pretty much, a lot of people were pissed at Uber. I know I did. Sorry, a lot of people were pissed at Uber at how they handled some of the stuff with the immigration ban in terms of support or not support. And Uber CEO made a soft statement, then made a stronger statement, and then he had Lyft kind of forced his hand by donating $1 million, and Uber said they're going to supply $3 million. And eventually, when people decided to not delete the app, deregister from Uber, 200,000 people did, which will affect. And I think also, if I'm not mistaken, the bigger effect is because most of those people were from areas where Uber is used heavily. So cities like New York, San Francisco, and it caused Uber CEO to leave President Trump's economic council. Now, they're going to be varying points. I know Warren's point. I don't know Ricky's point, but they're going to be varying points to this. The one thing I would just put my quick 2 cents is that I see this as a positive in one aspect. It shows that if you can basically cause a company to bend to your will as consumers. There are ways to do that, and this is a non-aggressive way. I still call it non-aggressive because you decided to stop using the service. A lot of people just did that in mass, whether you like it or not, or whether it's the right purpose. It just goes to show. Now, the other person who's also on President Trump's Economic Council is Elon Musk. Forget Peter Thiel, man. Elon Musk. Peter Thiel's always been there. He's the one who started that thing. Elon Musk said he's not leaving, but so he said he wants to bring some of the complaints to that council, but that's a whole different story. Before I'll get Warren's point quickly, and then we'll move on to and ask Ricky what he thinks about it.
My point, which is a long point.
Summarize.
I had to argue this.
I have a quick point if you want to just get mine over with right quick.
I've had to argue this a few times. Go ahead and let him get his quick point.
Yeah, all I wanted to say was yes, I agree with Thunder E over here that we are willing to bend, and certain things can be changed with all these people banding together and supporting a cause. But the problem is when the cause is misinterpreted by a lot of people, then the wrong thing happens. Or, and this is with everything that's been going on recently. A lot of people have been a hashtag is something that has some kind of effect over people these days, and they have to do research behind it. They have to figure out what's going on with this before they act upon delete Uber. Okay, why should I delete this? Because everyone else is doing it and they're all doing something good. Okay, I'm going to look more into what this actually is doing. What is this going to accomplish? Not, I'm going to do it because everyone's doing it. People need to be more mindful about everything that's going on, get informed, watch the news, research hashtags before acting upon them. That's
research. That's the biggest thing. Research your shit.
Get informed.
Seriously. Get informed before you make moves. So I've had Senator Yates has kind of mentioned my spirited arguments on Facebook about this type of stuff. And my whole argument was when I saw the number, which was 200,000, which actually isn't verified because it's just a number that the New York Times put out, but no third-party app company that follows these app uninstalls or app trends rolled that information out. And most that they would get is, I believe, Android users, they can tell if somebody's uninstalled or installed. They can tell in their end, but I don't think that's the same case in iOS unless they've changed it recently. But I've heard in iOS it's a lot more difficult. So that's just a number they threw out there. Now, let's say it's 200,000. I went to look up SurveyMonkey, kind of their analytical app. They have analytical app tracking side of their company, and they put some data on Uber and Lyft back in August. So I was like, all right, say 200,000 people. So how many people do Uber have monthly active users? The number is 15.8 million. Yeah. So if it's 15.8 million, you take 200,000, well, that's about 1.25% of the user base that was estimated to have deleted or deregistered their accounts. That's not as an effective maneuver as probably folks that have wanted it to be.
See, I would disagree because Uber is more about location than users. For instance, take San Francisco.
But still,
but look at this.
200,000 still isn't a whole lot to probably compare to way more than that in the area. And I don't even think, truthfully, they did this in response to the delete Uber hashtag. They did this as mostly a PR move because they already know their CEO is a very toxic person. This was mostly a PR situation. Now, granted, what I think is going to happen is that while he's not on the advisory board anymore, probably someone either that's invested or related or somebody that gets influence from Uber will probably take its place in that position.
No one in Uber will officially go back.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be somebody officially from Uber. It can just be somebody that's invested in them that they can talk to. Just like Lyft is technically on that board too. They are through Peter Thiel, who's an investor.
Yeah, Peter
but he's not.
But
Uber can do necessarily the same thing to it. So that's why I'm like, I don't really know how well effective this was outside of it just kind of being more a media fiasco for them.
It still was really effective because it doesn't matter as long as the movement started and it forced. Movement? I mean, the movement for deleting, whether you like it or not. I'm not concerned.
I'm not saying. No.
I'm just saying that the fact that actually started caused Uber to do things like donate money when they didn't want to, just because people. It's all about.
That's not people doing that. That's just because Lyft decided to do that because they had no intentions of doing that either. And you also got to remember, by the way, Lyft was also working and still taking rides in that same area and also dropped their surcharge, but they didn't get nailed for it. And then anyone also think that, all right, we understand there's a ban and a protest going on. Did you think of the people that are also working there that are probably trying to get home that might rely on those services to get home now? It's a much different world than it was years ago. Did public transportation stop during that time? People are saying it was sort of a dig against the taxi cab riders, which I'm surprised somebody actually stuck up for the taxi cab riders considering their reputation. And these services are the reason why. But they exist. But like, even their normal prices already undercut what these cab drivers offer. That's why people use them, regardless of what it is. But it to me, it was just like nothing was planned well or timed well or pushed into a proper situation. People just followed a hashtag, didn't do the research behind anything, didn't look at all the people that are involved. The Uber CEO is an idiot. We all know he's an idiot. I have no love lost for him. I'm glad he's off the thing. I wish he wasn't the CEO of the company anymore. They get smart and put somebody else in the face of that place and not him, because he does nothing but damage to every time he's on, every time he wasn't off, he just causes damage. And I think more so because his name is on this board, and that sort of whole stretch of them stretching out that they're supposed to be undercutting the New York City tax drivers, but I think was BS. That was not the case at all. But it gave people the reason to take things out of context. Oh, we got something we can attack the Uber CEO because that's what we wanted to go after, and we want to go after him. So we got something we can twist into. Let's see this hashtag delete Uber work, which probably was started by the Lyft people. Probably was likely somewhere within there.
I mean,
that's how they do business.
Whether it is or not, but also again, remember this past week, Uber's CTO came out against the ban. Like he was literally opposite his own CEO, which doesn't help a company no matter what.
Oh,
I mean, the honest truth, like you said, the PR was bad for Uber, and PR doesn't mean that your 200,000 has to fully hit as an effective, actionable number. It has to be loud enough.
The thing is, I think they could have ignored it, and it would have just went away because we would have just gotten distracted by something else, because that's how unorganized a hashtag is. If we'd have actually done something properly, if we didn't like his action, we could have all picked a day. Let's say pick a Thursday or a Friday, or hell, even Valentine's Day, whatever it is. We pick one day and we effectively say 2 weeks on this day, we will not use we'll just target Uber, even though Lyft should technically be in this. We will not use any car sharing services. Well, we won't use Uber on this one day. Now that gives, let's say 2 weeks. That gives time to get the word out. That gives time to allow drivers that are affected and riders that are affected to find alternative means on that day. That allows a lot of different things to take place. So then when that day comes by, you definitely land a much harsher blow. Let's say, let's convert to 200,000 accounts for 200,000 rides a day, or whatever the case may be. Let's say they do 200,000 rides or whatever per day. And let's say we effectively, this is just for numbers kids, but let's just say we effectively pick that day and no one used Uber that day, but some people might, and we knock them 150,000. That's a huge blow to them, bigger than what anything else we could have laid to it. More awareness would have been out there. Other companies would have seen this and be like, "Oh, we don't want to be them."
But the thing is,
that whole thing.
Besides all that you're saying, other companies still have seen it, and it's still effective.
And doing nothing about it. They're just going to wait for the next distraction to come past. They're going to do nothing about it.
I think you missed the point here, Warren. Number one, the reason why this started was because of his statements everyone was cataloging after the ban. Everyone was cataloging statements from CEOs. I mean, Microsoft even got flagged for what they consider was a weak statement for a company that has an immigrant CEO. So his statement too was that, and then the fact that he was on the board really put him, and plus his past history, of course, added to that, really put him as a key target. And then people, whoever started it looked and said, this is that. And you know how people just don't like Uber in general. Uber is like a necessary evil for a lot of people's mindset. It's like, well, it's cheaper and it's really effective, but I really don't like the way the company does stuff.
Well, we all like the taxi cab services. The way they do stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But
let's have that conversation.
But I'm just saying it's a necessary evil, and everything culminated in a path that it was effective for this to say, okay, look, whether you're deleting Uber or not, like I said, those numbers, as you talk about the 200,000 numbers, those came from places. Uber can have 15 million.
No, but where did they come from? And we also don't have the. We
don't have the exact. But I'm saying that,
or where they're coming from. So it's like we're just saying this arbitrary number of 200,000. It's like it's hard to hold weight to when we don't have an official source that says how many people have deleted those accounts.
Like I said, you can argue on those numbers or not, and you can only have two outcomes. One, it doesn't hold weight, or two, it does because it might have come from cities rather than locales. I'm just saying that's.
I know, I understand that, but
it's a PR thing.
When you say it's effective, to me, that's weak effectiveness. If it was, if we're going to do something, let's do something strong. Remember, we have a history in this country of doing organized things against transportation services, and it has worked. There was something that was called that happened. I don't know. This lady.
Yeah, but this was not an attack on Uber as an organized. This was an attack on Uber because of the ban, because of his statement starting. That's why. This is not. Yeah, this is where it started from. That's why it was going to be spontaneous, just like the airport.
It doesn't necessarily change where Uber is not going to have some involvement, or Uber is not going to do something else. Just the guy just decided to step off of the advisory board. That's not.
I mean, yeah, but if an investor wants to do that, that's an investor. As far as people are concerned, it's not the company. Peter Thiel, yes, he's an investor. It doesn't mean he actually directs things that's done. Depends on what his investment size is and what even that's even calculated.
Oh, he's probably on the board somewhere, helping making decisions.
That's a whole lot of stuff. I don't think he's on the board. He's not on the board of Lyft. I know he's an investor, but he's not on the board. But that's just how those things are. So you have that kind of placement in there where this happened because it was just a culmination of things starting from the CEO's statement rather than an attack on Uber purely itself. Because, no,
the whole thing did start with the attack on Uber purely because everybody was sitting there upset that they dropped surcharge and they tweeted about it. Everybody got mad at a tweet.
Yeah, it did.
Mad because everybody was mad because they weren't striking like everybody else was.
And they don't have to do that. To me, you're trying to say, if you don't strike the way I want you to strike, then you are my enemy. And that's not the right way to go about it. I think allowing
that's not the right way to go, but that's what happened.
I think Uber did the right thing in allowing their service to still work, but then allowing their drivers who are independent conscience to decide if they want to go up there or not. That's the best way to handle it. And they handled it perfectly well. And it's just that somebody took that tweet and went and said they tried to undercut it and just ran with it. And that's what started this whole thing.
To me, the lesson here is Uber needs to learn how to do its PR properly. That's the big thing here. Uber
they need another face of the company. The guy Travis cannot be the CEO. He could be the CEO, but he cannot be in the front, the man making statements of the man.
If they go public, he will have to go away from CEO because he's not the person that needs to be doing that. He can be on the board, but just not the CEO. And they need to also change their PR because they don't handle things well. They really don't. They've not had it in the past.
Well, neither one of these ride-sharing services have handled things well at all. Yeah. Neither one of them had PR very well, but I think it's because they blew up so big that they're catching up to themselves. And it wasn't like these things grew small. These were like, in 2 years we had near $1 billion companies out of nowhere, and they're struggling. So we'll see where it goes.
Moving to another company that is trying to go big, Snapchat filed its IPO. Now the IPO filing numbers are different depending on your sources. According to Engadget, Snapchat is going to file an IPO they're looking for about $25 billion in valuation. According to GSM Arena, it's $3 billion. So we'll have to see what that filing number actually comes up to at the very end of the day. We do know that $3 billion is the amount that Facebook offered them a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago. And we also know from a breakdown, this is also from GSM Arena, some of the filing implications. So I think the valuation will be more, has to be more than $3 billion, because they have a deal of about $2 billion with Google Cloud Platform to use their services for snaps and things like that. They also consider themselves a camera company, which is a strategic placement, because you don't want to consider yourself as an app. As you know, if you're a Snapchat, you really don't want
to. You're not fooling anybody when you. They're not fooling anybody with that.
Now, a couple other things there is that they consider themselves, they're an iOS first platform, as you'd expect, and also they're looking at wider availability for the Snap Spectacles. Now, thoughts on the IPO filing? What do you think it's going to end up number-wise? Because we're hearing 25. I think 25 is too high. I think most likely they're going to end up with about maybe $10 billion IPO filing.
$5 billion.
I think about 10. I think about 10.
What I want to know is why there's drastically different numbers. Where, like, why do? I mean, I didn't write this on GSM, but there's different. This is $3 billion. I don't know where.
Yeah, it just can't be $3 billion just because of that $2 billion cost to.
I don't think it's that much more. Like, if I.
$1 billion.
But yeah, it can't be. It shouldn't even be worth $3 billion. A million.
And it doesn't matter. But it's gonna short sell itself the second it gets out and tank. It's gonna tank itself.
Sorry, the Engadgets says sources say the valuation could reach $25 billion.
Oh, could reach. Sorry, thank you.
Right. So then I mean, that's what someone says expects. Okay. Yeah. So that is what they want.
They want
$25 billion.
Basically, and I forgot, somebody else wrote an article about they want $25 billion for two people, because there were three founders of Snapchat. I mean, that's basically how they're looking at it. According to when you look at the founder breakdown, there are three founders of Snapchat. One of the founders was paid $158 million to disappear. Basically, just go away. And the other two founders
probably made it.
The other two founders are
he made it.
They're still on the board. Now, of course, when you look at that valuation, you're looking at also people who invested in Snapchat want to pay out, because the company has not stated, even from the IPO filing, on how revenue would be created on a larger scale. Because we're going to talk about the revenue king in social media, which is Facebook, very soon. Snapchat still has not portrayed any form of revenue creation. Also, as a social media platform, aka a camera social media platform, since they're a camera company, quote unquote, they don't have a systemic way of creating conversation between a creator and fans, or a bunch of fans. It's a one-way service, so to speak. So I'm just not sure. I don't know any thoughts you guys want to throw into that.
I don't know why they're filing an IPO. I'm really trying to like. I know why. I know why they are, but I'm just saying, like, why? Like, all right. I mean, does this bomb as fast as Twitter? Twitter stock does. Does this bomb as fast? Because I think it really is. I don't. Everything that they do now is basically.
I don't think it will bomb as fast, but I think it will look okay. And there's a point where Facebook will do something that will affect its stock. Now that it's a financial, it's going to be a public company. Facebook can do aggressive things that just counter affect Snapchat stock, like, automatically. If they think that not selling to Google or Facebook for the amount of money they would offered before, and deciding to go into the public market and really battle them this way, and they think they can with the limited resources that they have, and they think they're going to win, oh boy, they're about to get a harsh lesson. I don't even think that's the thinking. I really think.
No, I think the second
they want to cash out. They want
to cash out. I mean, I know why they're doing it. It's a cash out. But it's just like, you're gonna see them get bodied the second Facebook can do. I wouldn't be surprised if Facebook releases a new service that releases a new feature or something that copies something on Snapchat the day their IPO launches. No, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
So all the Facebook features that were Snapchat features that were copied on
Instagram,
Instagram are coming to Facebook.
Yeah,
they already started testing that too.
I would not be surprised.
Because Facebook treats its Facebook and Instagram as two different social media networks. even though there's really good connectivity of posting across both of them. But because very well, I mean, I have more people on my Facebook.
I know what they're gonna do.
I mean, on my Instagram than on my Facebook, and my Facebook is mostly my friends. My Instagram is a mixture of friends and people who follow Boored Work. So,
I just thought of something. What if they start releasing these features into WhatsApp and into Messenger?
I mean, yeah, it's over.
It's over. Like if they release, imagine them releasing these style features into WhatsApp alone, kills them immediately, because people will go, oh, and I already chat to everyone on this, and I can internationally do this. They can do this with ease. Done. It's a done deal, because everybody's trying to copy WhatsApp and can't beat it. So the closest I think has been is iMessage. But imagine if they released that in the Messenger, because Messenger has essentially become a platform for apps and like mini apps and stuff like that. And they've been adding all these services. What if they add that into those features into those two messaging platforms? And remember, they've already added messaging essentially to Instagram with DMs, but essentially you kind of got those same features already in Instagram in sort of a way. And I could see them taking those same things and applying it to WhatsApp and Facebook. And I think if they hit those messaging platforms that already have the proper communication channels,
I would agree.
And Instagram is completely the creator thing. You got to think about that's the creator one. Everybody as creators that want to communicate with their fans can go to there, because you can communicate with fans on a picture, on a post, and you can do the stories and stuff like that directly and easily. And then you have the one to everyone else that may not want to do those things on Instagram, but maybe want to talk to their friends or group chat with their friends one-on-one and share different messages and stuff like that, which is already in the Instagram app itself as well too. It's not a heavily talked about feature, but you can kind of do the direct snap or whatever stories within group chats within Instagram. So if you put those into Messenger or into WhatsApp as well, where does Snapchat lie in that field, other than they're just the first ones like that? Like it would be just interesting to see what they would have to respond. I would think if Facebook puts that out there, it would be it'd be really hard for them to get anywhere beyond that. I mean, it might help that they create a bit of a market that Snapchat can kind of exist in, but I don't know how big they or how further they would get.
What were you going to say, Ricky?
I don't think that Messenger apps would incorporate these kinds of features into their apps, because, for example, WhatsApp is a more serious, one-to-one personal communication program, where like these features are more casual use. So you're talking to not that I think about it, I don't know that it would do well. I mean, let's say that it does launch like on WhatsApp, but then maybe eventually they'll phase it out because it wasn't being used as much. That's just a complete hypothesis. But that, I guess, these messenger applications are more, because the whole self-destructing photo thing is just like it's more for entertainment. It's not for like communication, because, where's the record of that? It's gone. Same reason I don't like communicating with other people on Snapchat, because I can't talk about stuff because, oh, what did you just say? I don't remember. I lost it.
Yeah.
So that's just what I was keeping in mind while Warren was talking about those other apps incorporating the features into their apps.
Speaking of the other company, which we've been spending some time talking about, Facebook, is at 1.86 billion subscribers. They're going to hit 2 billion most likely this year. And Facebook is pushing strong with its movement. We've seen also the company is making money hand over fist in terms of cash. So, yeah, Facebook as a company is showing no signs of slowing down. And this started from, remember when Zuckerberg was talking about, pushing to international markets. That's where he really wanted to focus on, especially, in Africa and Asia. I mean, whenever they let Facebook, connect to China, it's pretty much a done deal at that point, but just all the different markets, India, Africa as a whole, China and Asia. And they've been doing things on many different levels where separating the Messenger app and making it more robust, where you can do more with the Messenger itself. A lot of people have complained about having a separate app, but it gives you flexibility of messaging, either text, Messenger itself, sending funds, money. You can pay people or friends that way. You can, there's so many things.
Uber.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I was trying to finally remember what I was trying to get at when I was talking about adding those features. The reason I was thinking of that is because Messenger is essentially trying to be what WeChat is in China. WeChat does everything.
WeChat is really robust.
Everything inside of that one particular application. So that's why I can see them keep trying to dump all these extra services and add-ons. So when you open on Messenger, you just choose and pick the ones you want to turn on or add on into your thing, and boom, there it is. You can send your money, you can tweet, you can DM, you can do a private message, you can do whatever the heck, you can record a video, you can hit Instagram, you can order your pizza, you can talk to a robot to do an order and all that other stuff, all within that one boxed application. It'll eventually, I can't wait till we hear Facebook Pay, and then we can go to Facebook.
Facebook Pay.
Yeah,
well, I mean, like you said, and we know, it's pretty much Facebook wants to become the oasis, and we know how they will transfer into VR, AR, and all that stuff, where it becomes the place where, we won't be surprised where Facebook will eventually have. I think the first step to doing that, I give Facebook a year or two. They're going to sign some deals with universities where you can now Facebook Live into classrooms. You're going to have lectures, which will be on Facebook Live. The one thing they have to do is they need to correlate that section properly and have an educational section where you can have, Cisco type videos to learn how to do Cisco networking. They could probably start with those easier. Those are the easiest ones to start up. And then tying with universities where eventually you're now, learning in a class and you can ask questions. There's a time for questions. There's probably one person there who would now read those questions off the professor and things like that. So you're going to have those kind of situations where Facebook now becomes a place where, not only becomes the backbone platform for some of these institutions and all these other things where you can do more than just connect with people. You're paying, if you have the ability to send money from one person to another, can order things, whether it's food items like Domino, order an Uber, listen to lectures, and also connect with people thousands of miles away. You're pretty much in a virtual world as it is. Right now it is a virtual world. Now it's now expanding that virtual world from being you limited to just your friends to now you expanding that. I think that's the next step for Facebook in a sense, is to make Facebook still a friends hub, but then that hub can be expanded out properly. Because Twitter does the expansion out of your friends hub really well. You don't have a friends hub, but you talk to everybody on Twitter. That's the one benefit Twitter has. But it doesn't have a concentrated, I can't just have that conversation with Warren and Ricky on Twitter without anyone jumping in. That's where that problem is. So Facebook needs to find a way to connect that, because when you have that, then you can truly have those communities where you can talk about anything, whether it's you're talking about video games, you're talking about, music, headphones, and you can bring your friends into the community and you can jump out. That's where they need to do.
That sounds kind of like Google Plus.
Yeah, but that didn't work.
Well, Google Plus Google Plus knew what it wanted to do. It couldn't market what it wanted to do.
Dude,
it could not, because in most cases it had the apps, and a lot of the things that they had were better than what Facebook was offering.
Yeah.
It's just that they could not push it out there to people to understand what this was. They were too busy trying to say we're trying to take you from Facebook, rather than, well, this is just another community of people. So if you like similar things and similar concepts, here's where you can kind of congregate together. Like long ago, I said Google Plus should have been this thing where it should have been a tool that allowed you to create groups that eventually you meet in real life. Like it had all the location services, it had everything. They have everything built into that thing to make that work, and it just didn't.
One of the main reasons Google Plus didn't work is it was a cold service. As much as it was clean and easy, it felt and looked cold. It didn't have any. There's one thing about Facebook's messiness that works. It feels like a real conversation. It feels like when you argue with a friend and somebody puts that dumb post, you're like, oh no, I'm going to respond, because the nature of the platform, the visual matches your representation in your head of this person just said something that's annoying, or this person said something I agree with, and they've kind of even done some of that with the fact that, you can jump into friends' conversations with other friends you don't know.
Yeah.
That's how
I think the
they've created that little jump in there where you're now entering into conversations that are not in your circle. Warren's having a conversation with somebody else, and all Warren has to do is just tag me like, yo, E's gonna soul slap this person. And I'm like,
I'm done. We have done that to we have done that to each other's posts.
I'm like, who?
You see this?
I'm like, okay. Oh, okay. Let me jump in. So those are the things I think they would need to do to expand the connectivity, because Facebook is a lot of big bubbles in Facebook. That's what you have. A lot of big bubbles of circle of friends.
What I was thinking about, I think, and now that I think about it, the one thing that Google Plus, you said it was cold. I don't think it's cold. It was. I think Google Plus, especially in its interface, there was a little too much going on, because when you log into Facebook, all your focus is on that one thing, that feed that comes down, and you see everything scrolling through that feed. Either most recent or top stories, whatever's relevant to you comes through there. So it's just really easy to jump in and see the conversations. When you were on Google Plus, you just didn't quite get that, especially if you were on the desktop. On the mobile phone, you can only it was just you just scrolled up and down and you can catch something here and there. But on Google Plus, you couldn't do that, because you'd have all these different walls of conversations and posts kind of scattered everywhere. You couldn't tell what was chronologically happening, and sometimes you couldn't see the conversations because it would just be like one person or two people talking, but it's a long convo, but you only see the first two comments, and it's like people are they just kind of float the other ones in and out and such. It was just like, it wasn't, there was two different visions of how that was engineered. One side was thinking that this was all about trying to compete against Facebook, and another side was trying to make something an alternative that was different that could go alongside Facebook. And it just seems like they just didn't know how to get it to communicate properly.
Just to give you guys some insight on some of those Facebook numbers, in Q4, Facebook added 70 million active users, because that's how they calculate it, not just you signing up. They have a total daily active user base of 1.23 billion, and the total active mobile user base of 1.15 billion. And total monthly active user base is 1.86 billion. The revenue for the quarter was $8.8 billion. Revenue for the year was $27 billion. So
what's their profit? I would love to know what their profit was. God, what are their expenses outside of like employees and hosting servers? Think about it. What are their? I mean, they have probably licenses and other things they have to pay for, but like, if Facebook just had a year where they just stood still and just was it within Facebook, God, how much money they would make. I don't know what the expenses are outside of paying employees.
Profits was $3 billion last quarter.
And they made how much they make in revenue?
At 8.8.
8.8. Sorry. 8.5, and they made
3.5.
8.5, and no, so they made 8.5 billion, and they profited.
Profit was 3.5.
3.5. Yeah. Wow, that's really good. And considering that they spend, because if you take a couple of things they probably didn't buy out of that thing, they might have got 60% profit out of that.
This is their full community breakdown. It's their 10-year roadmap. So in 3 years, 8.8 for Facebook. Instagram's like 600 million. Instagram is the one that's kind of slowed down. They need to do some pushing. 5 years, they're looking at WhatsApp at 1.2 billion. 5-year roadmap for messages, 1 billion. 10-year roadmap for internet.org, people connected, is 50 million. And VR units shipped is at 5 million units in a 10-year map. And I think that VR units will actually go higher, especially if they spend more time working with Samsung to make a much leaner and cleaner mobile VR unit, because that's where you're going to get that jump for the Oasis that we're talking about. It's on the mobile VR.
Once they get the killer app, once the killer app finally hits that VR space, which is we haven't hit that killer app point yet. I mean, which is surprising, because remember we hit the killer apps on iPhones and smartphones and devices relatively quickly, but we're still kind of waiting for that VR killer app to kind of land. So once I think that does, I think that's when we'll start to see this space just explode, and Facebook's going to be so far ahead of everyone else on that.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think so. And our last topic, or just news item for the week, Super Bowl 51 is tomorrow. Of course, my New England Patriots will be playing against the Atlanta Falcons. And if you want to watch a Super Bowl, which is the trend they've been doing the last couple of years, Fox is hosting the Super Bowl, and we'll be streaming it free, so you can download the app. I think we have the article for you there, but also you can stream it on your mobile device as well as a tablet and things like that. So there are more ways to watch a Super Bowl now if you want to, which is good. But hopefully companies learn and don't do what Comcast did in the uselessness and try and charge people seriously $7.99 per Roku or per device you have.
Oh my God.
Imagine if they charged $7.99 to watch it on a mobile device.
Or the Super
to
Bowl?
watch it on a imagine.
No. See, but that you can still successfully do that.
But you can still justify it because it's a one-time fee.
Yeah. But when you because you're like, I find I want to just Super Bowl, it's okay. And the one thing that they need to stop doing, especially the NFL, I have to say this, is the NFL needs to stop restricting casting. So for instance, I can watch the NFL off a Verizon device. It's free. If you're a Verizon user, you can watch NFL games on there, but you cannot cast it to your TV. So say you're watching on the road, you get back home, you're like, all right, cool. Let me just hit cast button. It says this cannot be cast to the TV. Whether it's using Verizon's streaming service, whether you're using even something like, what do you call it again? DirecTV Now or Sling or Comcast's own service, you cannot cast it to a television, which sounds really foolish.
I was able to do once with screen mirroring, and it worked. But sometimes even screen mirroring doesn't work. Yeah,
there's a trick to do it, and this is the trick for everyone. Always start watching with the pre-show game. Cast the pre-show game.
I wasn't here for this.
And keep that, and then you can watch.
Oh, you already got it figured out.
Just say. Anyway,
they're still trying to figure out how to make money off of it, and they're probably going to get to the point, because the NFL, of any of the league, is a really bottom line league, and that anything they can make a dime off of, they will absolutely do it. So if they can, they will. They're probably finding that they can't. So eventually, when they finally give up on it, they'll just make it free and just shoot it out there to everyone, and find a way to charge advertisers a lot of money.
Yeah.
To ingest advertising. Once they could probably figure out how to localize it based on a stream.
I think NFL needs to, do the MLB model, clean it up, offer a one-time package that says, hey, they have a package, they have the NFL package where you have to get specific streaming for mobile, specific streaming for TV, and then you have to pay more to stream on both TV and mobile. And I'm like, offer a one-time package that says, look, if you want to stream NFL games, sure you can. And if maybe charge an extra $2.99 if you also want to get just your team game, so you can always jump to your team.
I think baseball's doing that now. I think you can stream per the team that you want, but then at the same time, they have to go. If they're smart, they go to MLB Advanced Networks and ask them, hey, can you do our video service for us? Or essentially turn the NFL Network into that is what they should honestly be doing with it. And I think if they do that, it'll benefit them. It'll benefit them greatly, because you'll have users that will spend anywhere from $9.99 to $20 a month, or whatever the season is. And some people might just spend a month, because there's content outside of that to watch football. People will watch football all year round, just like people watch the baseball to watch all year round. I'm a WWE fan. Yes, I will watch wrestling whenever I can. It's $10 and I get all the pay-per-views for free. It was an easy sale, and they're powered by the MLB, but it makes sense.
Yeah. You give users the right pricing, they will pay. It's like anything else. Like remember how studios and TV networks are talking about illegal downloading and stuff, and then you had Netflix show up, and stuff was going on Netflix. It was good, and I believe this year, this is a prime example of foolishness. Also on the rollback, the CW network had all the the comic book shows on Hulu. It would show up. It would show up at 3 a.m. in the morning. That's when it was available to show you basically the next day, right? You could watch it the very next day. Most people were fine with it. Now they signed a deal with Netflix where you have to wait till the end of the season to watch it, and illegal downloads have gone up again.
Of course, and the same illegal download people probably have Netflix. That's just a funny part. They probably have Netflix.
Yeah, but you want to watch the show. I mean, if you give someone the opportunity and say, "Hey, look, I will watch those ads on Netflix, on Hulu," and Hulu even has the ad-free, one, you're paying more money to take away ads. I will watch those, and I will watch your content. And that's the thing that a lot of these companies don't understand, that you have to find the right model that fits users. As
Netflix.
we've seen, what it's Netflix. Whether you use Netflix, whether you use, even someone like Hulu, where you can still funnel it properly, and then people are paying for it anyway. No one's going to pay for your own private. For instance, CBS. This is what's going to happen.
Oh God,
we have a new Star Trek show coming out next year.
No one's going to watch it.
CBS says the pilot episode will show up on CBS on TV. Which of course, everyone will watch that pilot episode. And then for you to watch it, you have to go not on Hulu, not on Netflix. You have to go subscribe to CBS's online service to watch the rest of the episode. Where do you think most people will watch that Star Trek?
Some illegally download somewhere.
Because now you've just closed it up because you want them to pay more. And as a user, I already have Netflix, I already have Hulu. Why am I paying for?
You would have thought.
CBS? I mean, why didn't you partner with Amazon? Amazon is one where people have Amazon Prime, right? Yeah. Like, to me, that's something where you go, Amazon, you're looking for shows. Why don't you take the new Star Trek? How about that? I'm sure you like that. Amazon would be like, yeah, sure. Because Amazon has gained a lot of, because of their car show, a world tour. The guys from Top Gear has brought in so many people. Now that show is the most downloaded show illegally ever.
Oh my God.
Yes. Top Gear has a huge worldwide fan base.
Over a Game of Thrones?
Yes. Top Gear was the most watched
I need numbers on that.
In the world, period. So having those guys move over to Amazon was it was a huge steal for Amazon. They paid a lot of money, but they did such a good thing where people are now saying, let me check out more shows on Amazon, right? So that's something where, as if you're a production company, if you're even someone like CBS, for instance, AMC did a deal with Netflix. If you want to watch Better Call Saul, you watch it on AMC in the US. But if you're outside the US, you can watch it same day, time on Netflix.
You know what's so interesting? It's that the television executives and the not so much the movie folks, they're a little bit, the movie studio thing's a little bit different thing, but the television and what we include TV movie executives thought, and they were this arrogant that they thought they could beat the technology guys that didn't know anything about television. But the technology, they didn't know anything about content or making any of it, but they knew what people wanted and how to deliver it to them. And you would have thought that these companies would have kind of seen like, hey, Netflix is getting kind of big here. We should probably make all these deals with them to make sure that they keep our content instead of Netflix making their own content now. Because now Netflix is really realistically, they're no different than HBO. They're just HBO that you essentially pay a lot cheaper for.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the second they started making shows, and I was like, oh, now they're HBO. I mean, they're an HBO. Or
did you see how much they dropped last quarter in terms of shows? Like, besides the shows I was expecting to watch, and then you go on Netflix, you're like,
there's always something new.
There's this iBoy. I'm like, what is this?
What are these shows? They got a ton of stuff on there.
I was like, I might as well check it out, right?
And you already got it in the people's minds that Netflix isn't a television property. It isn't a standard, cable channel. And people don't look at Netflix that way. So they're willing to pay to essentially watch these shows in the same way. It's essentially a Jedi mind trick that they're pulling. But it's just hilarious that now not only the Netflix, the nerds, with the nerds and the geeks, that's who we all are, beat them at our game, then we went around and beat them at their own game too. So you would think AMC smart, you figure CBS, CW, and then that studio would get a little bit of a brain and realize that, hey, let's not open our own portal. Let's just throw our name in this portal and get a little bit of cash out of it, or whatever we can get out of the subscription services. Because what these companies should have done by now is force Netflix to raise the prices higher by pushing more content in and asking for more dollars out of it. Because Netflix at the $11.99 price it is, or $14 whatever for HD or 4K is a ridiculous steal. Yeah, it's one of those things that people probably forget they have Netflix subscriptions. Like it's that cheap.
But the thing the studios messed up big time was when remember Hulu is still co-owned by how many studios, right? The fact that they own Hulu, like, to me, I was like, this was your chance to crush Netflix early on. Not now. I'm just saying early on when they had that, and they
kind of at least had 50-50 mind share with them, and they don't.
Yeah, and there was rumblings that they were going to have Hulu be the streaming service. I was like, this is golden. I mean, I pay for Hulu. I don't have to have my cable anymore. I can either watch it with ads or I'll watch it without ads, right? You pay more for without advertising. We're good. They did it. They started pulling back shows. There
was a greater chance that more people would be watching content off of those shows and off of those two hubs. Yeah. That might have said, well, I like watching these two here, but then I like to have my sports and stuff like that. And we probably would have paired it with a basic cable package, or would have just got the whole damn thing and not given a shit, because they have access to whatever the hell they want. So they would have kept the damn money they would have anyways, because all you really had to answer was, because I don't think it was the money, it was just giving people the ability to get the content the way they wanted to.
Yeah,
and then no one's talking about cutting cords, zipping boxes and stuff like that. Or if somebody does say that, you look at him, okay, he does that, but I kind of like having my live TV and a few other things here while I watch my Hulu and stuff on there, which they kind of funnel right through the damn box. Then you don't have the Roku's of the world and these guys attacking them and hitting them at all fronts. I mean, Jesus, literally, these TV and network executive guys were probably some of the most arrogant people that sat there and thought they could outsmart the technology guys. Have you seen Bill Gates? Has anyone else smarter than him yet? You'd figure by the 80s they'd have learned, like, if once we see one of these nerds, we need to get on their side. Steve Jobs outsmarted them, took all their music. He did. He outsmarted that whole place. It said, I'll take your music and make sure it's protected, it's safe, it'll be tremendous. God, I wonder how many Donald Trump words he used to all those music studios to get them to sign that shit. And they all fell for it, even though it all fell for it. It's just funny.
And then Spotify took it and just ran home with it for hours.
Spotify just said, well, hey, we can do what they do, but everybody likes this thing called streaming.
So it's like people don't own it. It's still safe. It's not safe.
God. It's just like when marketing people, the salespeople go up and tell people about the cloud. Probably it's the same stupid terms. And they were like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And the nerd that made it in the back is just like, just sitting there laughing about the whole thing, about to make more money than you, and I'm going to be your boss.
Any more thoughts, Ricky, you want to add before we wrap up?
None for me, no.
All right. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I know the show started late, also late time, but next week we'll be returning back to our usual time of 12 p.m.
Looks like we got a lot of people here watching today. Yeah. It was about 35 people kind of on a consistent basis in here. So
yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. Now, of course, we get to the part of the show where we ask what you have currently on your channel and what you can expect from you next week.
IT crowd.
IT crowd.
Kyle Ruggles.
So Ricky, what did you work on last week that people can check out, as well as also what can we expect from you next week?
Well, just last week I finished the Honor 6X review, full written review on our website, so you can check that out. Mm-hmm. What else? And then next week I'm working on V20 versus Mate 9 video. So I didn't write it up, but I'm going to be shooting some parts in it, so I will be featured in it. And then just normal news days. It's a little bit slower for me, but yeah, that's all I've got going on.
Okay.
It's just a couple.
How about you?
Couple videos.
I'm gonna pull a Sam here. Everything I promised last week, that'll be here this week. Sam's favorite. He's not here. Might as well give him Sam's famous answer.
Yes. But now, truthfully, what can we expect?
No, that is the truth. Everything I promised last week happened this week.
Okay, all right. So I guess you end up pulling us there. On my end, a few things. We did our best tech under 50 for January, so you can definitely check that out. Only 2 items. It was pretty small, but one's pretty cool. It's a car lock. It actually helps you track your car. So it's under $50, so it's actually worth it if you have an older vehicle. Also, we put out a video for best Super Bowl TVs, 4K HDR TVs. Some people complain no OLEDs there. Trust me, if you want to actually watch a game bright, you will.
I'm watching OLED. It perfectly looks good. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, you might want to switch. I'm just saying.
Nah, don't listen to him.
We did our MacBook Pro unboxing mini review. Check that out. The 50-inch MacBook Pro, the highest spec one with the Radeon 460. We'll try and install Windows because I cannot review that thing using the Mac. It would just, it would be terrible. So I'm going to install Windows, and we'll do some gaming on there on the Mac and see how that 460 handles.
Man, you're useless.
And then finally, setting up your own NAS home surveillance system. If you're looking to have, the idea is basically if you're looking to have your own home camera network, and you don't want to necessarily use some of the other solutions, which are really easy to use, but it requires you to have some kind of cloud services backed up with, different companies. You can set that up with Synology. The Synology has it's not really a one product, but it's something that they offer and try to showcase to people as a bundle. It's called the Surveillance System Bundle with a DS416 NAS, an Amcrest camera, and of course, hard drive of your choice. Pretty easy to set up, and it gives you full control of your home security. Everything is backed up on your own server. You have control of that, and no one can access that except you, which is one of the best things about it. So definitely check out that video. It's up there on the channel. And next week, some of the things I promised, like the build video, I had to actually get some more RAM for the build. For some reason, I thought I had 16 gigs of RAM at home, and I had like 4 hanging around. So,
well, not too close.
Yeah,
you can run Windows Vista on that.
No, you can't.
Probably not.
No. So basically, that will be coming up next week, and I think I'll have also the MacBook Pro gaming video for you guys next week as well. So I want to thank everyone for joining in the chat. Thank you for chatting up. I know we couldn't ask a lot of questions. Also want to thank Ricky for joining us. You can check him out at GSM Arena. And also, Ricky, what is your Twitter handle so people can follow you?
That's at Ricky Fox, FOXTEK. So it's Ricky Fox Tech.
Okay.
Find me there.
Yes, I'll put that up in the description, as well as Mr. Warren Bowman from BW1.com. You can find him on BW1 on Twitter as well as YouTube, and ourselves, it's Boored at Work, 2 O's, of course, both on Twitter as well as YouTube. This is Thunder E saying thank you, and always enjoy your entertainment.